Hi, everyone. Dear speakers, our respected audience, hope you are well connected and we can see and hear each other well, right? I'm George from Georgia. This is how I always introduce myself to foreigners to make their life easier, remembering one word instead of two. But more seriously, I'm George Sharashidze, editor-in-chief and the publisher of Entrepreneur magazine in Georgia. It's almost 3 years we have been representing famous US brand in Georgia to facilitate and encourage entrepreneurship in this part of the world. It's a great pleasure and an honor for me to be part of the WorldNet Summit, one of the, as we know, one of the biggest online tech conferences that brings together the top speakers from the biggest tech companies. For me, especially important is to be a moderator of this panel with so interesting topic about development of the startup ecosystem in Georgia, in Kazakhstan, Hungary, and the role of 500 startups. So before I hand over to our respected speakers, let me suggest you a quick warm-up. So please say hello and greet our audience in your own language. So let's start with Kazakhstan. Mr. Murat, so say hello in Kazakh.
Salim in Kazakhstan.
Salim, good. Okay, then
Salim.
Then good to know. As I understand, it's from Turkish roots of this word, right? Salam. Salam,
It's
salam.
pretty similar.
Okay, pretty similar. So, Georgia, Mr. Altandil.
Gamarjoba. Hello, it's my pleasure.
Gamarjoba. Thank you very much. Zsolt, how you say in Hungary?
Yeah, Szia, sziasztok.
Okay, and we have Courtney from US. It's
Yeah. I will say hello in English, but howdy in Texan, where I am originally from, Texas.
Okay, good. I would just add, since I am also from Georgia, as you know, as I already told you, as Mr. Altandil, I will just use this opportunity and tell you a little bit more what Gamarjoba in Georgia means. So the word Gamarjoba means victory. So when we greet each other every morning or afternoon or whatever, when we say Gamarjoba, it means that we wish each other victory. So I want to wish you the victory, as it means Gamarjoba in Georgia. So now let's go back to our main session, more serious topics, and a very short information regarding the schedule and the time management. As you know, we have 50 minutes in total. So 5 minutes for check-in, what we are doing right now, and then 40 minutes for the main panel, which means 10 equal minutes for all of you. You are 4 speakers. And I do hope we will have remaining 5 minutes in the last part of our panel to answer the questions from our audience. So that's very short clip. So please keep your times. This is very important. And now I would like to start with our colleague from Kazakhstan, Mr. Marat Shaken, who represents Astana Hub. And Marat, so hi, salam.
Salam.
So once again, and glad to see you. And my first question to you is to learn more about Astana Hub. And please tell us what was the primary mission in establishing Astana Hub in Kazakhstan, and how has the hub contributed to the development of a startup ecosystem in Kazakhstan, in your country? Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me today. It's a very great pleasure for me. I'm representing today Astana Hub, which is the biggest international tech and startup hub in Central Asia. Yeah, let me start from maybe our mission. Yeah, our mission is to develop a startup ecosystem and support entrepreneurship to increase the economic growth of the country and the Central Asia region. To achieve these goals, we implement such programs and provide support to everyone, from those having a startup idea, maybe for those who have already grown from startup to a mature company. So we have, as I mentioned before, we have several programs. And first of all, to develop a strong IT skilled workforce, we have a number of educational things. For example, like Alem School and Investor School. Alem School is a unique coding school based on the model of maybe world famous Ecole 42 by Nicolas Sadirak. Also in Kazakhstan, we already have currently about 600 students being learning their IT things and some languages. Also, investor schools, we have a venture investment course for business owners, for people who want to be an investor and business angel in our startup ecosystem. Also, we have the development programs for startups who want to develop their business and grow up. For example, we have an incubation program, we have acceleration program, startup school, online mentoring platform. All of these programs we organize and conducted with own self, also with support from our friends, from experts, business angels. There is people as well as local, also international, our international partners. As for today, we have about 1,500 people attended to our events conducted by Astana Hub since we've created in 2018. We already support about 600 startups with providing them our development programs like accelerator and incubator. Also, we have a physical infrastructure. We placed on the we located in the middle of a huge cluster based on the Expo legacy. We have surrounded by our ecosystem players with universities, with higher educational institutes, and etc. We have 24,000 square meters of modern infrastructure, and all startuppers, or maybe who want to do something great in IT, they have 24 hours and 7-day access to our co-working zones, free of charge high-speed internet, conference rooms, coffee shops, and etc. etc. Also, we do not forget about the big IT companies, and for them we developed tax benefits, which means that the companies that registered in Astana Hub, they do not pay SAT, value-added tax, and so on. As for today, about 370 companies had this kind of benefits, and they already saved about $8 million US with our tax benefits. Yeah, if very short, this is about Astana Hub.
Okay, Marat, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. Very useful information. And the next question is about to learn more in a regional perspective. Okay, so we now just heard about Kazakhstan's development, but you are part of a much larger region, which we can call Central Asian region. And I really want you to assess the startup ecosystem and how you compare the Kazakhstan startup ecosystem to other Central Asian countries first, and then maybe shortly, please compare Kazakhstan to all other post-Soviet Union countries, okay?
Okay. Yeah, it's a good question. We already ask this question from us, our partners or friends, and we already have according the startup genome report. Yeah, startup ecosystems in Central Asia are now in the stage of formation. For example, yeah, Kazakhstan now develops rapidly its environment for launching startups, for creating these things. Also, I think development, this kind of ecosystem is largely, it's dependent on the government support. Also, I think we, in Kazakhstan, government very actively involved in this, in creating this innovative environment. For example, we have such of except of Astana Hub, we have such of accelerators, incubators, venture funds that already created. Also, there's a number of projects that have already been able to declare themselves both in the market in Kazakhstan or Central Asia or maybe world market. Also, I think over the past couple of years that we already developed, we in the active growth and the volume of venture capital investments in local startups, in maybe startups in Central Asia, it's actively grow now. And one of the examples, we in government, we have a great support because of the special law for venture financing was passed about 2 years ago. And this law is giving a good example that in Kazakhstan, we're trying to give the all things that need to developing the ecosystem. Yeah. Is it good for, yeah?
Yeah, it's good. It's absolutely. So, and now just the question again about specifically about Kazakhstan's economy, okay, and the role of Astana Hub in this. And I really want you to introduce us to a few, at least one, maybe or a few specific largest projects which was supported by Astana Hub and which had a important impact on your national economy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give us a few examples?
Yes, I think we have a lot of good startups here. Yeah, but maybe if you want to big names, yeah, I want to tell you about the Clockster KZ. The Clockster is a startup that automates routine HR processes, such like attendance, onboarding of new employees, managing sick leaves or leaves, creating maybe complicating schedules for workers, and etc. etc. They're using the Face ID and fingerprint recognition to this kind of process of HR. Yeah, why I'm telling about them, because they about maybe 2 weeks ago they had a new investment. I think about $1 million in their company. Yeah, it's the big news in Kazakhstan, and this team is also supported by Astana Hub too. Yeah, another example that working in, I think, social thing. Yeah, it's Naimi KZ. It's the marketplace that solves the problem of people who search for less qualified specialists like electricians, plumbers, carpenters, and etc. It's like home workers. Yeah, the startup gives them opportunity to find the job offer, and for people who searching them, giving a list of this kind of workers. The contribution of this startup to the social effect for the employment of self-employed specialists was noted by our first president of the Republic of Kazakhstan, Nursultan Nazarbayev. They mentioned this startup like one of the startups who affect for this kind of specialists in Kazakhstan. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Very interesting. And the last question is about your cooperation with the 500 startups. As I know, you had a collaboration with 500 startups, and we are quite happy that we also will have an opportunity to listen to Courtney Powell a little bit later, or COO of 500 startups. But now I really want you to tell us more about your cooperation. How did it start, and what's your future plans in terms of cooperation with 500 startups?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, in Kazakhstan we have several ecosystem players who develop this startup ecosystem. One of them is our colleagues called Kaztech Ventures. They do the collaboration with 500 startups since December 2019, and the agreement about that Kaztech Ventures joining the V Global Fund by investing $10 million. And in terms of Kazakhstan, startups get the opportunity to scale their business by taking international acceleration program, by access to foreign investments, and access to advanced expertise and experience. And the role of Astana Hub here is, as I mentioned before, is working hard on educating, preparing, and supporting maybe beginners and new IT projects, to giving them opportunity to use all the benefits that we have from 500 startups collaboration.
Marat, thank you very much. It was very interesting, personally for me, and I do hope for our speakers and our audience, more importantly. But unfortunately, so the time, we are limited in time, as you know. And now I would like to invite another speaker. Let's move a little bit to a warmer part of the world, from your -20 to +10 or something in Georgia. And we have the respected guest here, Altanvil Gasradze, who is a head of Georgia's, I would say, key player in startup ecosystem, which is Georgia's Agency of Technologies and Innovations and Technologies. We shortly call it like JITA. Hi, nice Gamarjoba, Mr. Altanvil. We will also talk about your cooperation with 500 startups a little bit later. But before you talk about this topic, I would like to ask you to introduce, very shortly introduce to us the Georgian startup ecosystem.
Hello, first of all, Gamarjoba, and it's my pleasure and I'm honored to be here in this international conference. It's my second time, and I would like to actually appreciate what Azerbaijan is doing in order to support startup and innovation ecosystem in their country. I think this is very good opportunity for us to gather from all around the world and discuss how we are supporting innovation and technology overall, because there is no single country who can actually achieve by themselves. It's very important to have a good cooperation and help each other and support each other to kind of win in this global competitiveness. As you mentioned, we are one of the key players, maybe the key player in the startup ecosystem world here in Georgia, from the government side. But I am happy that our role as a government body is declining, and we are seeing more and more private actors, private sectors, investors, and even big corporations who are willing to support startup ecosystem. And I think this is, and this will be one of our core achievements, to include more and more private sector in order to develop startup ecosystem here in Georgia. From government of Georgia side, definitely we have firm commitment to support innovation, and Georgia are witnessing that yearly by yearly our state budget is increasing, and we are investing more and more money in these startups. And we want to continue on that path. We want to increase the financial support as well in the ecosystem, but we want to see that the percent of our support is declining, and there's more and more private money in the ecosystem. But right now we are running tons and tons of projects in order to, first of all, to increase the community itself with the numbers and the quality, to prepare them for the global competitiveness, to prepare them to be part of the innovative ecosystem, and to attract more and more people in our community. The second part is definitely that we are also offering the infrastructural support. So we have a tech parks in all, I guess, main big cities here in Georgia. This year we also opened in Batumi. We don't have right now, the only big cities in Georgia that we don't have right now is in Kutaisi, but we are cooperating with Kutaisi International University, which was recently opened, the huge university opportunity, regional-wise actually, mainly who are focused on technological areas, and we will be creating the tech park in Kutaisi International University. Also, the third area that we're focusing is access to finance, because it's very important to give the early stage financing, the financing when the private sector are not willing to fund them, and it's too risky, and government is taking this risk on our shoulder. So that's why we have access to finance program. We have micro grant up to 15,000 lari. We have medium sized grant up to 100,000 lari, and we have maximum up to 650,000 lari per startup. And we are supporting during all year these startups, and we are financing more than 100 startups per year actually, with combined with all our program. The fourth dimension is definitely skills development and trainings and an entrepreneurial mindset that we are creating. And one of the things that should be mentioned is that in ICT we are training right now 3,000 IT professionals. And also another area that we are working is definitely legal framework, because we are initiating the projects in order to make the legal environment more attractive for investors and for the startups. For IT companies as well, and I want to mention about the new law regulations that government of Georgia adopted like 2 months ago actually, that we made huge tax incentives for the IT companies, global IT companies, who will open their offices here in Georgia and employ Georgian citizens, but also they could bring their own people here in Georgia. There's no limitation on that. You know, Georgia is actually it's considered as a tax heaven in the world, because according to the World Bank ranking, we are number 3 in the world, like without exceptions. But for the IT even, we made more exceptions for. So, you know, for the IT companies, the biggest tax burden they have is a salary income taxes, yes, because they are paying the salaries, they don't have big property, etc. So we have regularly 20% flat income tax for every companies, but for the IT companies, we reduced 20% to 5%. So they are paying only 5%, and we also reduced corporate profit tax from 15% to 5%, and we totally annulled VAT tax and property tax. So actually, this is huge tax incentive for the IT companies, and we are seeing 2 big US players, Exadel and EPAM, already entered in Georgian market, employed people. Also, they brought their own people from different countries, mainly from Belarus and Ukraine. But we are seeing lots of interest from Germany, from Israel, from Ukraine, and from other big IT companies actually to relocate their businesses here and open IT companies in Georgia. And definitely government is training also thousands of the IT professionals in order to them to be ready to be hired, these international players, and also to attract more actually the customers from all around the world. And 6, direction, and I will stop right now on that, is tech transfer programs. This is one of the most important programs that we are running from in the Georgia's Innovation and Technology Agency. And the tech transfer is not directly linked to the startups, but it's linked to the innovation technologies that has been created in the research institutions and universities. And we are not part of the research, we are not supporting the research, we are supporting results of the research, the technologies to be commercialized in the big market and in big international players. We have one of the most promising technology who are technology readiness level 4 and above, and we are actually right now negotiating, and we have quite good negotiation with one of the big industry players, Airbus Group, Airbus Helicopter, L'Oreal, Urgo Group. It depends on different technologies that we are commercializing. And this is one of the biggest potential area in order to jumpstart our economic growth. So just briefly, I wanted to explain these 6 directions that we are focusing right now.
Okay. Thank you, Atandil. So you provided us with a really interesting and important information. Actually, you answered already to all my questions I have prepared in advance. That's good. That's very good. But still, I would like to ask you to look at the future a little bit, to a longer plans of JITA and Georgia's in general. And what's your personal, and also what's your view as a director of the agency, Georgia startup ecosystem? How will it be, let's say, in 5 years from now?
Yes, thank you very much. It's a really excellent question. Also, I want to talk about 500 startups as well, maybe later.
Sure, after that I have this question. Okay.
So, one of the things that we set objectives, and objectives that we set, it's also innovative objectives. It's very hard to achieve, but this is our nearest agenda. So in 5 years' time, what we want to do is to have at least 1 unicorn, Georgian unicorn, which is not easy, but still manageable. And this is very important in order to have a very good success case, in order to actually support more and more people to be involved in this field. And also, we would like to see that private sector's role versus government's role with percentage is 90 to 10. It means that in Georgia, there is a big venture capital firms, angel investors, and there is a big market of opportunities here in Georgia. It means that there are a lot of accelerators, like 500 startups and others here in Georgia, who are focusing also not only Georgia, but also from regional wide. So this is very important to see that maybe we are the only government organization in not only in Georgia, but in the world, that we are focusing to create the ecosystem where JITA is not needed, where there is a private sector who is playing the cards and who is the ruling, because this is a natural way of development of innovation. But as long as there is a necessity of the government of involvement and to facilitate the first steps, baby steps, when they are not ready to be market, we are happy to support that, but we want to look in broader sense and then create the ecosystem where also they can finance themselves without government.
Okay, and now the final question to you, Atandil, about, as you mentioned already, 500 startups, and about JITA's cooperation with 500 startups, and we really want to hear your personal view of how this cooperation, I mean, particularly with 500 startups, helped and somehow contributed to the startup ecosystem development in Georgia.
Yes. Thank you very much for this question, because we are very proud of our cooperation, excellent cooperation with 500 startups. Like it was 10 months ago in February 2020, just before this COVID crisis shut down everything that we had managing partner Beijing Young we were hosting here in Tbilisi. And we signed the agreement with 500 startups together with one of the biggest Bank of Georgia, also named is also Bank of Georgia, we signed this agreement. And right now, and as we signed the agreement, the COVID crisis hit all of us. But nothing has changed in our plan. Maybe it was delayed 2 weeks, but nothing more. And we successfully managed, like in a hybrid regime, in virtual and also in offline regime here in Tbilisi, different kind of boot camps and the full acceleration program that we created. We received applications from all around the world, actually, not only from Georgia or our neighboring countries, but also we also received from Malaysia or Australia or Brazil, and actually it was very good and international startup ecosystems that participated in this program. We selected I would say, the best company. Not we, but 500 startups selected the company because they have selected the company, not government. And also, I would like to say that in this, even during the COVID time, the 500 Startup Accelerator program showed amazing success rates. During these 6 months of the acceleration program, they, like this 15 startups that was selected during the COVID time, they raised $4.5 million only in the first 6 months, in the first part of the acceleration program. And this investment that they're raising is increasing right now as they are developing furthermore. And the $4.5 million, when I say all of them are private investment, it's not the government that the government gave. We did not give anything, actually, the startups who are part of the 500 startups. We created the 500 startup program here in Georgia, but we don't give any money to the startups during this program. So this is an amazing achievement, actually, with the 500 startup. And I think that this kind of accelerator program, it was something that was lacking the most in our ecosystem, because in the earlier stages we had the financing programs, we have some mentorship program, but in order to get things done, that was something that 500 Startup Accelerator provided to our ecosystem and also to our in regional wise, not only Georgia. So that was amazing.
Thank you, Avtandil. And now, as I'm going to hand over to Courtney from 500 Startups, I would like to show proudly one of the latest issue of Entrepreneur Magazine, Georgian edition, with all finalists of 500 startups here. And I was really, as an editor, was really happy to learn about these fantastic guys, about their innovative projects. And I'm really glad that our magazine, Entrepreneur, is also part of, in terms of information support to this fantastic project. So thank you very much, Avtandil, for this really wonderful and interesting information. And now it's time to go to swim the ocean and to reach US, to reach America, where COO of 500 Startups, Courtney Powell, is waiting for us. Hi, Courtney, how are you? Good morning to you. Good morning to you. So thanks for the participation in this panel. Definitely thanks for your partnership with Georgia, with Kazakhstan, and then other countries. So in my first question to you is like a very short question. Of course, it's about your personal role, because as we know, and as you are announced, you are COO, Central Operations Officer at 500 Startups. And as I know, you were announced on this position in the summer of 2019. And soon after that, 500 Startups launched a new project in Georgia. And I was wondering, was it a coincidence with your appointment, or a result of your personal work to find new markets for 500 startups globally, which is, as we know, one of the primary obligations for you as a COO at 500 Startups?
Yes,
Please.
yes, great question, and that And first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me today on the panel. I've been quite excited to be here with this group. We are so proud of the work that we've been able to do through 500 Georgia, with JITA, with the Bank of Georgia, with the World Bank, and also just our broader relationships with Kaztech and Astana Hub as well. I mean, we feel like this has just been such an incredible year for us in the region. And we know that that's only going to get better. So thank you for having me, and thank you to all of our partners. With regard to my role in particular, so I was brought on with a couple of different kind of core mandates. One, as you mentioned, of course, is to focus on developing our strategic operations, partnerships, and new funds across the world. So when we start to look at a market that's quickly accelerating, like we see in Central Asia, I work very closely with our ecosystems team. We call it our ecosystems team, led by Beji Yang, as well as our other fund managers around the world, to identify what markets make sense for us to come and get involved in, and then what the particular modality is going to be that we're using in a particular market to help accelerate what we're seeing. And then, of course, we work very closely with our partners to really get a deep understanding of what structurally can, may need to be enhanced or changed. And then, of course, come in with programs and our global expertise, as well as potentially investment to really create a multi-layered approach. Quite excited, like you said, we're in now our second batch, moving into our second batch of 500 Georgia, and excited about the progress that we're seeing. I'm particularly excited about one of the companies that we have just announced an investment in, Stack, which came from the 500 Georgia program. And I personally have now started using their tabless browser. So love to see when, companies come through programs and then start to really enter the global stage. So very much looking forward to this upcoming batch, and hopefully being able to personally now come and visit very soon.
We will be very happy to host you in Georgia. So the next question is about, you partly answered to this question already, but just not about Georgia only, of course, about Georgia, but about Kazakhstan, about maybe other countries of the region. How well are you familiar with the startup ecosystem in this region, a broader region? I mean, maybe we can call it like a post-Soviet or maybe Eastern European region. And what will be your next plans to strengthen ties to this part of the world to facilitate and encourage a startup ecosystem in future?
Sure. So in my role, because I sit, across all operations, I spend time really in multiple markets. And a lot of my role pertains to working closely with our government partners. I'm obviously JITA is an excellent example of a really forward thinking government who is willing to, put in the work to be that initial layer that's so critical for a startup ecosystem to develop. And so, once we have a partner of that caliber who's able to help kind of educate us with regard to what the various opportunities are within a market, I do tend to learn a lot personally myself about what's happening in the region. But I will say that a lot of our learning as a company also comes from the leaders and the mentors that we have on the ground in these various programs. And so we're hearing a lot of firsthand insight, not only from the folks who are a part of the actual program and leading these things, but then of course getting to spend time with the startups and hearing firsthand, what their needs are. So I came originally through a 500 Startups program. So actually they invested in one of my companies that I founded back in 2012. So I have kind of gone the whole circle of having been a founder, knowing how difficult it can be to get things off the ground, to raise money. So I have a particular heart for listening to founders firsthand, getting to know what their struggles are, and then using that experience to really create programs that answer real needs.
Nice to hear. Very interesting. Of course, I would like to keep interviewing you at least during 1 more hour, but unfortunately, as we know, we're limited in time. But maybe it's a reason for us to meet in Georgia for maybe a little bit longer interview when you visit us in near future. I do hope. So thank you very much, Courtney. So and keep in touch and keep facilitating and encouraging the startup ecosystem around the world. Thank you very much once again. And now we have the last speaker from Hungary, who will introduce us to his experience, to his countries and the European startup ecosystems information with us. Hello, Zsolt.
Szia, hello.
So Sia, I remember Sia in Hungary.
Yeah.
So let's start with my first question, was about your cooperation with Azerbaijan's innovation agency. Okay, because we know that you just signed a memorandum of partnership just recently, and the question is why Azerbaijan? Okay, shortly. And so why did you consider joining this Azerbaijani ecosystem, and how will you going to contribute to Azerbaijan startups?
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I would like to say thank you for the Ministry of Transport, Communication and High Technologies and its innovation agency and its chairman of board, Tural, my friend, for the invitation. It's really important me to be here with these famous and really good agencies and accelerators. Just in a nutshell about us, what we are doing. Startup Campus is an innovation agency and a startup accelerator. Was born in Budapest, and now we are operating in Berlin and London, and we have a really wide international relationships globally. Our pillars and focus areas is one is education. We have high school and university based incubation programs where we are focusing how we can help the talents to generate an idea, to develop an idea to a business or develop a business to ready to investment. We're not just talking about startups, we also invest into these teams and companies. We have an early stage fund. We can invest up to 200,000 euros. And of course, we have other innovation program, which we develop for governments and corporate companies. But why I am here today is the fourth pillar or for focus area. This is the international partnership. I think it's really important to help our portfolio companies and clients to find the best next market for their products, to connect the needs with the solution. And I think this pandemic situation is show us that we need local innovation. Everybody starts to develop locally, but the needs and the challenges are global challenges. So we need global answers. And that's how we met with the innovation agency and start to talk about how we can collaborate because Baku and Budapest, it's around 5,000 kilometers, and it's really far to know each other. So we need good partners, we need good collaborations to help our startups how they can do business in Baku, in Turkish region. And of course, vice versa, we can help Azerbaijan startups to know more about European ecosystems because Europe, it's really sexy, but it's an old lady and really fragmented market. So under this MOU, together with our government and private partners, with the Turan Ltd and the Hungarian Export Promotion Agency and Innovation Agency of Azerbaijan, we set up a Discover Europe program for Azerbaijanian startups, and they can enter this 3-month program, which include 1 month in Budapest, 1 month in Berlin, and 1 month in London. Of course, this is a digital program, and they got validated and real feedbacks for their products. They can know more about how to do business in Europe and these 3 countries, and we can help them if there are a match, the need meets with the solution. We can help them to set up their company and start the sales process in Europe.
Joel, thank you. Thank you very much. And since just a very short time is left for our panel, I really would like to ask you to provide us with a little bit broader European, let's say, let's go a little bit outside of the Hungary and provide us with the information of startup ecosystem generally in Europe, like in Eastern Europe, in Western Europe. So what would be the most important experience you would like to share with us, with our audience?
Yeah, I think it's as you said, there are a lot of kind of Europe. We have 45 million population under the EU, but there are 27 kind of country, 27 kind of startup ecosystems. So that's why we need international collaboration. The biggest challenge for European startups is scaling. There are 60 unicorns in the EU, 200 in the US. And the EU market is bigger. You travel 200 kilometers, you are in the EU, you pay the same currency, but you have to do your business a different law and tax system. So our challenge in Europe, how we can make a more single market and how we can find good partners globally, like the Innovation Agency in Azerbaijan, who can help our teams and startups to open new markets, their products. So I think it's a huge challenge, not just for Hungary, not just for Central and Eastern Europe, but the whole European economy. And think about a little bit more. It's a huge challenge in this digital competition with other countries. So how we can make single market and how we can scale up our businesses from Europe to the global market.
Okay, Zsolt, and the final question, for which to answer you have just 1 minute maximum, about your plans, about Startup Campus, particularly plans for 2021.
Yeah, we would like to set up more international collaboration. This is the main focus, and set up more Discover Europe program to let foreign startups and innovative SMEs or corporates to scale up their business and make businesses in Europe. So this is the main goal for us.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we just have only two minutes left, and I really want to use this 2 minutes for the same warm-up activity as we did in the beginning, but now maybe we can say goodbye in our own languages to our respected audience, and we can have the same sequence, and we can start with Kazakhstan again. Marat, can you say goodbye to our audience in your language?
It's called Sağ ol.
Okay, thank you very much. What's about Georgian version? Nafamdis. Okay, Nafamdis. What's about Hungary?
Viszontlátásra.
Oh, it is more difficult than hello, right? Hello, just see you very shortly. Can you repeat it once again?
Viszontlátásra. See you again.
See you again. Okay, nice, nice, very nice. And Courtney.
Yes, thank you.
Your turn.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, so bye-bye, everyone. It was really fascinating for me, really interesting. I personally received useful information from all of you, like brilliant speakers. And I would like to thank once again to the organizers of this summit, WorldNet Summit, and particularly of this panel discussion, and to all sponsors, supporters, speakers, moderators, and of course our audience, our listeners, and people who watched our discussion. And I do hope that they have received important and useful information about startup ecosystem in our regions. So guys, thank you very much once again. And I do hope that we can still meet in any part of the world, either digitally, either in a distance or physical meetings. So really wish you good luck in 2021 and hope to see you again. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
good luck.
Bye.
Bye-bye.